Okay, guys, welcome back. This is going to be the second review session, review video of the 37 hands of my first session. Second video ever, and I have Equilab here actually on my other screen. I have two monitors here. So if I ever need to use Equilab, I can just pop it right over here. We're going to go full screen on this one right here, like that. And we're going to get started. So we have pocket nines, and let's see what happens here. Looks like this guy min raises. It's three-way. And I would like to three bet the information and like how much I've progressed since I started back at poker. I would like three bet, but again, this is my first session recorded at 10NL, and I'm probably just playing too many tables, and I'm just being a donkey and not thinking at all. And as it looks like I just flat Grutus here. I think a three bet is really nice with pocket nines, and so looks like I donk. Yeah. Okay. So I donk out. I just again like I love to donk. I donk like nut hands. I donk things like sets, flopped flushes, complete air balls, and also like mid pairs and things like that, dependent upon like the table dynamics and everything. I think that a lot of players don't like this. They don't really know how to respond to donk bets very well, and a lot of the times they actually spaz out with quite a big range of hands. Like he could be spazzing out with quite a lot of stuff, like a straight draw, spades. I mean, he might have a strong hand. Let's see what happens. So I call. I just call because he could be bluffing with like complete air. And if I shove, I mean, he's only put like $1.30 so far into the pot. He's got $3 left, and he could find a fold if he's doing this with something like a complete air ball. If he does have a value hand, there's not many cards on the turn that are gonna scare him. I would like to just kind of see a turn card and then see what happens. I guess you could just jam the nines. If he has like a flush draw or like a 9 or 10s or something like that, then yeah, I'm gonna say that a jam would be perfectly fine there. I think that there's better spots. There's better spots for me to just kind of flat with the top set, and I really don't like slow playing. That wasn't really my intention to slow play. He jams the turn anyway, so let's see what happens here. 9-7. Okay, so he had two pair. You know, it's a pretty strong hand. He probably should have won that pot, but I got pocket nines here. Sucks to be him. Okay, 10 king off. Grutus again, same guy. We got De Mortem over here. I'm pretty sure he's a fish. Yeah, 74-24. So it looks like I'm not three betting with 10 king. Basically, I think I'm gonna go back. This guy limps. Yeah, he limps a lot. So I don't want to three bet and scare him away. So I'd rather just play a pot. And this guy could shove. He doesn't have much of a stack left. So he bets out. I'm gonna call. He bets 151. And yeah, I mean, I think I have to shove here. He could be doing this with like 10 queen, 10 jack. air balls, something like 8 jack spades or something like that. Higher spades like king, queen of spades. So I'm just gonna jam. Okay, well, he had a straight that time. Well played, Brutus. Looks like he got his money back from the last hand there. Okay, next hand. Ace queen off. I raised to 35 cents. And I flop 2 pair. And now you can actually see that my bet sizing is bigger on this board. And in my last video I kept hating myself for just going through like really bad bet sizings. So I have top 2 pair. The board is super drawy, and this guy is a huge fish. Like, this is actually the whale icon right here. That's a whale. That's that's even like fishier than a fish. And so I want to build the pot super big, and we are also a little bit deeper. So I'm gonna bet this as well. Again, tons and tons of hands that De Mortem is gonna continue with, and yeah, I probably could have bet a little bit bigger as well, like 160, 170. I don't think I should be afraid of the flush or straight at this point, because De Mortem could have anything really, and I'm pretty sure that if I face aggression on this turn card, if he jacks it up to like $4 or something like that, then I could probably fold my ace queen. 3, so it'd be like $3 into 7, maybe 30 something % equity, and then I would basically have like 4 outs, only 4 outs, which is like 8% ish to boat up on the river. And I don't think that it would be worth it to call. So he calls. He doesn't raise me. That's a really bad river card. So I check. He bets. I call. I think it's pretty. I think it's a pretty standard call, because it's only half pot. And this guy, I really don't know how bad he is, but there's a lot of players I've seen that would try to value bet something like ace 9 or ace jack or jack queen on this kind of a board, because they're just not thinking very much, or they might think that they're still like really solid hand, like they have 2 pair and they want to get value. So I'm gonna call, and he has a 6 of diamonds, it looks like. Had a queen on the flop. So yeah, he's calling with queen 6 on the turn. He would have called a bigger bet than the half pot. I'm very sure about that. So I think 170 on the turn. I had 118 into 227. I think is just a really bad sizing. So yeah, next hand, 6 ace suited. Let's see here. Nick min raises. I don't really want to 3-bet. It's a min raise, and we're a little deeper. So I mean, if I flop a flush, or if I flop like trip 6s or like ace 6-2 flops, and he has like ace 2 or something like that, then we're gonna build a pot up pretty big anyway. So I like that flop. Let's see what happens here. Check. Nick bets. And yeah, okay, I check raise. I like this play because Nick has a big bet flop percentage of 80, and that basically means that even when Nick misses the board completely, like he could have like 8-7 of clubs, or like even something like 9-10 of clubs. 9-10 of clubs might even just barrel this, and he's just gonna bet basically everything. So what this means is I don't really have a made hand yet, and I think check raising is a good play because Nick is probably gonna fold all of his air, and things like pocket threes, pocket sixes might fold. But even if Nick calls and he has something like pocket sixes or pocket sevens, and the turn card comes like a queen or like a 10 or something like that, then I would absolutely want to barrel again, because then there would be two high cards on the board, and Nick most likely won't have a jack, and there's really no reason why he would have a queen either, unless he has like queen 10 of diamonds. Okay, so that's interesting. It looks like I get min 4-bet. I get min 4-bet on this flop. I don't see any reason to jam. This is 110 big blinds right here. That's a lot of big blinds. And I have a nut flush draw with backdoor draws. So I'd like to call. And yeah, I do call. The ace, I don't really feel like the ace gave me the best hand right now, because Nick could have jack ace or queens, kings, jacks, aces, fours, fives, 4-5. There's a lot of combinations that actually do have me crushed right now, and the diamonds are my saving grace. So I'm going to check and just kind of hope he doesn't bet too big. I'm going to call this. Yeah. And, you know, I don't hit my flush, so that sucks. But let's see what happens. Wow. Okay. So Nick, basically pots it. I mean, I really have no idea what this means. After a flop min 4-bet with like not a very strong turn bet sizing either. He bets 250 into 4. I guess, I mean, he is betting the ace still. And then it would make sense that he bets really big. He could be thinking like, I'm gonna call with like an ace, or look him up with like a jack or something like that. And I don't really see any reason to call this for that many big blinds. So you know, I'm beat. I gotta fold. So look, yeah, it looks like I do fold. And next hand, yeah, okay, jack queen off. And yeah, I mean, I could 3-bet jack queen off here, because this guy, he's not too much of a nit, and I would love to get heads up with Slay Jade 7 here, and there aren't really any fish in the blinds that I want to be in the pot. And I think jack queen off, I would normally be 3-betting a jack queen off in this situation to get this guy out and to hopefully play against this guy. So everybody checks. I bet. These guys aren't like, they're not super fishy stats, and I'm gonna give them credit for like not being really bad players right here. So I'm not gonna be like bombing the flop here. The board is not drawy at all. 9-10 combinations, but like this guy probably isn't raising 9-10 off. So like that's 9-10 suited, and this guy probably is not calling 9-10 off. I mean, he might. So that's Not a lot of combinations. 8x. A worse jack, like jack 9 suited, jack 10. But really, I don't think there's a lot of combinations. I could have probably gone just a little bit bigger, like 75 cents or 80 cents or something like that. And an 8 probably would have called. Okay. So the turn card, it's my action now. I don't like this turn card very much. I don't think. But there are a few backdoor draws that are developing that if they called on the flop, then they'd probably call on the turn as well. Something like jack 10, 9, 10. Any diamonds are going to call. 8. Queen suited, pocket 10s. I mean, this guy right here, oh my god, Condio, I think his name is. You get a pocket 10s. I don't think he has a jack. And if he does, it's probably going to be like jack 10. Maybe jack 7 suited. Maybe jack 7 suited. So I think a bet is actually fine here. Just to get value again, because if the river comes to like a scare card, like a 10 or a queen or something like that, or like another 8 or a diamond, then I'm not gonna easily get value again if I bet check bet. So I'd rather just bet now and just hope somebody calls me. Make it kind of easy to play. So yeah, half pot is a perfect sizing here. So they both call. And then this ace, I actually don't really see why anybody would have an ace at this point, because unless they had the backdoor diamonds, like ace x of diamonds, but that would be kind of a far fetch to conclude that. I mean, it is definitely in a range, but there's a lot of hands that I still have beat. But at this point, FXX Crazy, I don't think there's any reason for me to think that he doesn't have something like Jack Queen or Jack King. Jack Ace, I guess, maybe as well. So I would like to check. I'd like to just check behind. I mean, I like this pot size. I mean, it's $8 already, and I just don't see any reason for me to bet. So yeah, I do check, and looks like I win. I win the pot. That's pretty nice. I like that, and I really at this point I would be like, okay. I mean, I'm not really very confident that I'm going to win the pot, but there's probably a good chance. Next hand, Queen King suited. Let's see what I do with this. Okay, so I didn't 3-bet Queen King suited versus Grutus, and we are deeper too. So in order to get stacks in, you gotta build a pot pre-flop, and also like this guy, he's really weak. He could be limp, or actually, he could be calling my 3-bets with definitely with worse kings, worse queens, and just worse hands all around. Queen King suited has this guy crushed, and a 3-bet would have been really nice. But yeah, yet again, I'm playing very poorly. So here, I'm gonna be barreling this board quite a lot. Grutus doesn't have a very strong range, and an ace doesn't really need to be in his range. And of course, I have like overs to like anything like 8s or 9s or 7s. So I have massive equity on this board, and I don't really feel like I need to bet too big, because I think Grutus is going to call if he wants to call, and just kind of fold if he wants to fold, not not really dependent upon my bet sizing. So I get raised. I'm not gonna be shoving or anything like that. That's a nice turn card. So I guess the question is, should I donk or should I check raise? So it looks like Grutus raised me on my flop bet, and flush boards always are kind of scary to a lot of players, and I can actually see Grutus checking behind a lot of the time. But at the same time, I do want to make the pot bigger, and if I do bet into Grutus and he has something like ace 10 or ace jack, then it's not guaranteed that he's going to raise me. But if Grutus does have an ace, and I think that there's a good chance that he could bet an ace here, or of course sets even two pair, maybe a straight by now, and then I can check raise the board. So I think a check raise is actually pretty good. So let's see what happens. So he bets 136 into 215. I'm not really going to be thinking about the bet sizing from this guy, like what does it represent? Does he have like a strong ace or two pair or something like that? My main goal here is to just think about how big I'm going to be check raising. And so at this point, I'm going to think that Grutus is going to be calling a very big raise, not like a $2 or $3 raise. And also, Grutus could have something like ace jack with a jack of diamonds, or ace 10 with a 10 of diamonds. Two pair is never going to go anywhere. This guy is not folding two pair, he's not folding a set, and he's definitely not going to be folding a really strong ace. So I think like $4 minimum. Even if I raised to $6 here, if I raised to $6, then it would make the pot $950. So it's $350 plus 6 is like $950, and he would have to call like another $470 into $950, which is really not that bad. He'd be thinking like, okay, well this is really good, a good price, so I could probably even make it like $6. I don't think I would want to go any higher than 6, so between like 450 and 6. So if I ever have enough time, I think about like a nice range, and then I kind of just go for the average between those, just to kind of get more of a guarantee that I'll get called. So I think like 5 something would be really, really nice. Yeah, okay, so 5-ish. It's a really nice sizing. It goes to show that I do know how I like to play and how I should be playing. Sometimes like not 3-betting queen king suited here pre-flop I think was just a disaster, but then it makes me realize that I am thinking somewhat when I'm at the tables at this point. So yeah, a guy calls, Grutus, he calls, and yeah, that's a really bad river card. So yeah, I guess what I would have to do is hope that he has like a jack of diamonds, and if Grutus has like a 2 pair, I can definitely see Grutus folding here. And I don't think that Grutus is going to call like an $8 bet or $7 bet without a diamond. I mean, it's possible, like if he has a set, but even a set might find a fold. I guess it's either I'm going to have to go a little bit lower, like $4.50 or $5, or I'm going to jam. I'm just gonna jam $16 into $12.50 and hope that he thinks that I was just getting kind of ridiculous with like pocket eights or like 6-8, I guess. Basically make it look bluffy. And I really don't know what Grutus has. I think Grutus could have an ace. So I think what I would like to do is bet a little smaller, just kind of toss out a value bet here and hope to get called. And I think a jam is fine if the player is like super fishy, like a whale stat, basically like 65-40 or 70-35. So let's see what I do. Looks like I jam, and I really don't think I like that jam because the odds that Grutus does have like specifically a jack of diamonds, like an ace jack of diamonds, that's only like 3 combinations. I think three combinations. But there's a whole lot of other combinations that are not going to call this jam. So yeah, it looks like he folds. And I feel like that was not the correct play. I don't think I like that looking back. Okay, next hand. Pocket eights. 27 minutes in so far. So we got pocket eights. And this guy raises to 50 cents. Basically like 60 big blind stack. 24/7. And I got pocket eights here. And I think that I would like to call this and then just kind of see what happens on the flop. And hope that maybe these guys call so that I get better odds at set mining. Because at the time here, like, I don't really like this big raise pre-flop, and the guy isn't super laggy or anything. 0% 3-bet. That's pretty extreme. Yeah, this guy's got 0% 3-bet too. So I have an overpair. Now if this guy bets, I'm really not sure that Ace King is going to be raising that big pre-flop. So 109 into 115. That's a really big bet. And I think I would fold. I think I would fold here. If I think I remember this hand. I think I do actually end up being a donkey and jamming my pocket eights. I'm pretty sure I remember this hand. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I jammed here. That doesn't really make any sense, and it's kind of like me not playing. I'm not playing this hand. Like I'm just being an idiot, kind of, to this guy. And I get called, and I lose, and he has aces. So yeah, that was 50 big blinds that I just basically spewed off. 50 big blinds. Now I'm not going to make excuses for how I'm playing in this hand, but a couple reasons that I may have done that. I think it's because at the time I wasn't really able to take 10 and L very seriously. And I know that sounds like such a crock, but it is $10, and I'm not saying that I'm rich or anything, far from it. But I was actually playing the 200 NL games and the 2-5 games at the casino, and there were nights where I had thousands of dollars in front of me. So coming back to this $10 pot games, and then just basically like I am kind of playing pretty badly at the beginning here, and it really makes me realize that I should probably not be 8 to 10 tabling, and I think 6 tabling would be really nice. So I 3-bet. Oof. Okay, so we're deep. This Nick guy, we've been in a few hands with him so far, and he's not like the most solid player ever. But I really don't want to be 5-bet jamming or anything like that with King Ace here for 200 big blinds, because obviously at best it's going to be a coin flip or a chop. And so I call. And not much I can do here. I mean, I'm not going to be able to donk, because this guy could easily have like kings, aces, queens, jacks, tens, diamonds, king 10. Like there's a lot of hands that Nick could have, and I think the only way for me to play this is to check fold. So I check. Looks like Nick checks, which could mean that Nick has ace king, or I would actually expect Nick to be betting this a lot of the time if he did 4-bet me with air. Like if he has something like ace 8 of spades, I think that Nick would be betting this a lot of the time. So it makes me think that he has some kind of a value hand, like maybe jack king or queen king or ace king. So the king comes on the turn, and looking at this board, I'm not gonna be thrilled. I'm not gonna be like fist pumping or anything. Like I just hit my pair. Like wow, I just hit my pair. I'm not gonna be celebrating. This board is still super scary, and I don't think that Nick at this time is gonna be calling air balls or floating me on the turn here with like eights. That would make no sense. I don't think he's that bad. So at this point, Nick could have like a king ace. We're shopping for king ace. Pocket tens. Jack king. Queen king. All the hands that I said at the flop that he might check back, I basically have 2 pair by now. Ace 10. Ace 10 has a straight. For all I know, this guy could have a set as well. I mean, he could be slow playing a set. So I'm going to check. Hopefully, yeah, I do check. Looks like Nick checks as well. So, looks like nobody really wants to bet here. Okay, so, again, I think that there's really no reason for me to bet. I don't see what he would have that he would call me with, unless it's something like ace jack or ace queen. Ace jack probably won't call bet. Probably will not call a bet. Ace queen might call a bet, but I do still feel like there's quite a lot of hands that Nick could possibly have that have me beat. So I like to see myself check here. Okay, so it looks like I don't check, and I toss out a little value bet. And I'm really not sure what I'm going to get called with here with the way that Nick played. So Nick does call. And, ouch. Looks like the money's going his way. Aces. Aces? Okay. So he had aces. Wouldn't have expected that. Yeah. Okay. So queen ace off. Limp. This guy limps too, looks like. This guy completes the small blind, and I raise it to 60 cents. Okay, I like this. I think I probably could have raised even bigger, because again, we're deep stacked and deeper with this fish over here. And then if this guy calls, then it could easily get Tiana and Nick to call as well. So I would like to have gone bigger, like 90 cents. I think 90 cents would have been better here. I don't like the 60 cents. I don't think I'm going to be getting too many folds all around. And I hate to play multi-way. I really do hate it. So this guy folds. That's interesting. So we flop a nice hand here. I think that's a good bet size. I don't think that Tiana is going to have a lot of queens in their range because they didn't raise pre-flop. So something like queen king, queen ace, kings, aces. I feel tens would have raised. I feel extremely comfortable feeling like I can just continue betting and getting value from like queen jack, queen nine suited perhaps, 10 ace, 9 jack. So he calls spades and also like 8 9 if he's floating me with 8 9 of like hearts or diamonds or spades, and that puts quite a lot of draws on the board. So I like to see myself bet this just a little bit bigger, like maybe 240, 230 I think would be nice. Okay, well 220 is probably the lowest I would go if I thought about that some more. And then this guy shoves, and there's no reason for me to fold, of course. The only hand that I'm really afraid of is pocket threes. But if he has pocket threes, then, you know, good job. I'm not really going to be folding that. Queen king. So I take a nice pot here. Yeah, I'm not really sure that guy didn't raise pre-flop. But remember the last hand that I had queen king suited, I didn't 3-bet. So it really just goes to show that everybody basically, even like these taggy stats, they're really not like that aggressive. So even whenever you see aggression from these tags, it's probably not a bluff. There's not a lot of like aggression and bluffing going on at 10 no limit. I think it's safe to say. Okay, we have pocket aces. 39 minutes into the video. Okay, so we got three-way. I'm going to be betting huge on this flop because this is one of those flops where like you're going to have to basically just hope that someone has hearts or something like 5-6, or you're just going to have to hope that they have an ace. There's really not much you can do. You're never going to want to slow play this flop. 5-6, 7-4, something like that. Like I would like to bomb this. Again, 74-24 and 67-22. I got top set. I want to get my money in versus these guys. And I would probably just go like $1 90 cents to pot, like $1 would be really nice. So yeah, this is horrible. This is really, really bad. And this is really bad. I want to build a pot up. That's not like a good sizing. I don't like that bet. So okay, so I'm being raised. I got top set here. I think it's good to just jam this, because I think there are like some scary cards like a hit, like a heart, and he doesn't really have much left, and it looks like he is kind of committing himself. So yeah, let's just jam it in. And ace 4. Yeah, like I said, you kind of just have to hope that they do have a hand, even though like you're taking up the ace combinations. But my flop bet sizing was really, really bad on that flop. Okay. 10 king. I like to see myself raise bigger next time, because this guy is 53-3. We got a 53-1, and there's no reason for me to think that they're not gonna call like a 70 or 80 cent bet. And 10 king suited is basically the nuts versus these kinds of players. Maybe this guy too. I don't really know. This Nick maybe. Yeah, it's Nick again. I know his stats. So yeah, this is the kind of board where I'm gonna bet the flop and turn basically no matter what happens. I don't really care about what turn card it is on this board, because I got like a straight draw, I got overs, backdoor flush draw, and this guy could be basically check floating me with anything. These kind of players, I don't think that they really understand position. So when they check call, they could be check calling with a really wide range, like any ace X, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 6s, pocket 9s, huge range, ace 2, something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna bet that again. I don't really think I need to bet too big, because I think that Tyler is either gonna fold or not fold. And I don't think bet sizing, I don't think that you should ever bet bigger versus a fish to supposedly scare them out of the hand or push them away, push them out of the hand. So he calls, and so I river a straight. It's a nice card. I remember this hand too. So okay, this guy basically donks pot into me when the flush completes, but the way that the board runs out, I don't think that you're ever going to be able to fold this. I think it's like a snap call, like any day of the week, versus this kind of player, because if they have a straight, they're going to be super happy about it. They're going to be really happy if they have a straight. And there are actually times where this guy could be doing this as a bluff. Not very often, because as you can see, he's pretty passive. Not a huge sample size, but 0% 3-bet, 53-3. That gap right here between the 53 and the 3 pretty much shows that they're passive. But I'm not going to fold this. I'm going to snap it off. Yeah, I call. Queen 10. So yeah, he had a straight. I had the better straight. And actually, it's good to note that I do have the nut straight. It's not like I'm calling just a chop. I think if I had just the 10, if I didn't have the king, I just had a 10, I'd probably fold. I'd probably fold to this bet, because I would know that it's either like at best a chop, but as I have the nut straight, I'm never folding that. I'm just not going to fold. Okay. So we got limpers. We got somebody raising. I don't feel like I should be 3-betting 9 queen. I think I said earlier queen jack I wanted to 3-bet. I guess you could 3-bet 9 queen suited. Hope that JJ calls. And then Oraculo folds. But we also have a fish here. We have a 37-6. And I'd like to play a pot with him as well. Get them all in the pot. Queen 9 suited plays terrifically multi-way. And I'm also in position. So yeah, they all call. And yeah, so I flop a really nice board here. Obviously I don't have a hand yet, but this is a perfect time to just toss out a little bet and just kind of hope everybody folds, clear the field a little bit. So I get min raised. He's min raising into a field of 3 players, and I don't really see any reason to jam. Yeah. So he bets 130 into 417. The guy's 19-3 or 19-13, and at this point, when he min raises the flop, I highly doubt that he has a flush draw, like a king high flush draw, because he's doing this into a field of 3 players. So I'm like 99% certain that I have the nuts. I'm not really worried about anything happening that's gonna make me lose the hand at this point. So this $1.30 bet, the way that I would interpret this bet is it looks like a blocker bet to me. It looks like he likes his hand. He definitely likes his hand. But he's also scared of the flush. Now, because the flush is there, and I would be really scared that another club is gonna hit the river. I really just want to get the money in now, because I highly doubt that he has ace king with the king of clubs, or like ace jack with the jack of clubs. So if another club does hit, I'm screwed out of getting more money. So I'm gonna just jam. This is a standard jam here under this situation. The guy likes his hand, obviously. I don't think that he's gonna fold to my jam. So he calls, and yeah, see, then the next club comes out. Oh, okay, so the money's going to him. Ha 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 ha. Okay, ha. I remember this hand too. The guy boats up on me. I remember this ace 7-7 hand. Now that I see it, yeah, well played. I mean, he had 2 pair. He hits a boat. What are you gonna do? All you can tell yourself is that you played it perfectly, and then go to the next hand, basically. So queen king suited, and okay, finally, look, I 3-bet queen king suited here. This guy right here. This name looks really familiar when I sat down at the table, when he sat down at the table. And I'm pretty sure I remember this name from like years ago when I was playing on a different site. And the stats look pretty similar. I'm going to assume it's the same player. And this is like, this person here is probably the top 3 worst players like in the world. Like, that's how bad they are. You know, you ever run up against a player where like you flop top set and they like check raise you, and then like check raise the turn on you, and then they like shove the river and they have like 4 high? That's basically what this guy does. And I don't know that it's the same player, but 9148. That's nice. Like, this is nice. I like playing against this type of player. And okay. So I get dunked into for like almost pot. And now yeah. It's a tricky situation, but I think my first inclination would just to be to go with it and just to kind of say like, okay, let's gamble. Let's go. You know, let's do it. Because I have queen king, I have overs, I have a jack that can give me a straight, I have backdoor draws. But also the really important thing here is to know that a good part of this guy's range is going to be either complete air, like just total air, like 8 high, like 8-5 or something like that, or spades. And if he's donking spades, chances are I'm gonna have the best hand anyway. So I think we can actually we can do an Equilab here and kind of just see what happens. Okay, so on this board I'm gonna give him like 33% 3-bet. I don't think that he's gonna be, he'll probably be 4-betting me or like shoving with like a lot of strong aces. So let's do all of these aces. We're gonna do all of these kings, all of these queens. We're going to do all of the jacks. Basically like yeah, like just fill in. Like I really don't think that there's any reason for me to think that this guy has a value hand right now. Like, I mean, is he really doing this with 10x? Like, I don't know. Chances are he's not. He's just kind of spazzing out with like 6s, 5s, 3s, 7s, 8s. I'm gonna give him some value hands too, just so I don't put this in my favor. Now, suit selection, we basically are gonna be doing like all these. We're gonna do all these hands, all these suited hands. We're going to we're gonna turn into spades. Yeah, okay. Okay, so as you can see, it's basically 50-50. There's already like 2 something in the pot, and the guy donks into me. And you know, I don't know, like if he's doing this with like something like pocket 5s and I jam, it's possible that he folds. I think I'm just gonna jam here versus this kind of a player, and make a note. Just make a note about what happens. If he does have a good hand, like I can type in the chat and be like, you know, nice hand, I tried to bluff you or something like that. And that way I'll be on his radar and he'll call me down lighter in the future. So as you can see, the money's going to me and I completely missed everything. And the guy didn't even have a spade, apparently. Didn't have a pair. Didn't have ace high. So 8-5, Jack Queen. Yeah, there's a lot of hands that. Oh, look, Queen 8. Okay, Queen 8 off. Yeah, pretty sure I remember that guy. Okay, king, king. $1.30. I like that. $1.30. Doogie. Okay, the guy only has like 80 big blinds left. The pot's already 30 big blinds. If I bet real big, like I do here, I mean, it's not huge. It's not like I'm potting it, but that's a pretty good sized bet on a board like this. A doogie could have like a king of clubs, of hearts, ace of hearts, jacks, tens, nines with a heart. I mean, the guy doesn't have like the best stats. 29, 14. I wouldn't really call him a fish, but that's like a weaker player type of thing. Definitely a weaker player. So I jam the turn, and I get called. Yeah, okay, so look, like I said, nines, eights, jacks, tens with a heart. He had sevens with a heart. And fives, pocket fours, pocket fives with a heart. Probably would have called the flop. So yeah, I think I played that really nicely. Ace, king offsuit. Three-way. Raise to 50. So I'm kind of a little annoyed at myself because I've played in quite a lot of pots with this Nuno Cup guy already, and I'm still only raising to 50 cents with my super premium hands. And limp fold of 20%. I think that this is a really good time to continue to increase the sizing of your isolation raise pre-flop, and to sort of just get a measurement of how much pressure you can put on the fish before they fold pre-flop. And I've actually been at tables where I can open like queens for like a 10 BB versus certain players, and they'll call me every single time with like 8-6 suited, pocket threes, things like that. And I'm not being very elastic with the way I'm playing. And again, it's because I'm fresh back at poker, and I'm probably playing too many tables, and I haven't really done any hand history review sessions yet of how I'm playing. But 50 cents is okay if you don't know who they are, but by this time I should have figured out like how much I can raise, because I want to build a pot as big as I can pre-flop. What is this? Oh, okay, so it looks like he limp 3-bets me, and I jam. He doesn't have a lot of money left. He's pretty fishy, so a jam with ace king I think is pretty standard. Okay. Well, looks like he had aces. I don't see, like, nobody, I don't think that anybody ever is going to be thinking that this player has aces. Three-way. Limp 3-betting me. Like, that's ridiculous. Okay, so it looks like I lose that pot. Queens. We got queens. I raise. I get 3-bet. Okay, let's check this one out. 3-bet percentage of 3% over 100 hands. He's 20/1, 1 aggression factor, and I got queens. I don't like my jam here. I really don't like my jam here. Actually, it looks like I just closed out Equilab, so I can't open it again or else my video recording software is going to just go crazy. But I can pretty much say that 3.2% is super premium 3-bet percentage, meaning like jacks, queens, kings, aces, and there's no guarantee that this guy is going to call me with jacks if I jam. He probably doesn't have queens, so that leaves kings, aces, and ace king. Ace queen is not part of a 3% 3-bet range, and this is probably me just, again, playing too many tables and not being very comfortable yet with quickly reading HUD stats, because I had queens and I'm like, okay, I'm being 3-bet, the guy has like 880 left, I'm gonna jam. I probably didn't even look at the 3-bet stat, and you know, that's just my fault. Like, I need to be more aware of this. I would definitely call. It's only like 70 cents more to me. And then I don't think that this kind of a player is going to be barreling off with ace king on like a 10 high flop. So if I face a lot of aggression, I'd probably call flop bet, and I'd probably fold to the turn. If this guy bets again and it's still like a 10 high board, I would probably find a fold on the turn with queens versus this player. But as played, I jam. And I do remember this hand too, because this quads. I hit quads versus this guy's ace-ace. And now what can I say? I don't like my jam. Pocket nines. Being 3-bet. The guy is 8% 3-bet from the button. That means that his button 3-bet percentage is probably going to be a lot wider than 8%. And probably like 10, 11, 12% versus cutoff. Maybe even higher. It looks like my fold to 3-bet in position and fold to 3-bet out of position are really not that high, and it makes me think that I'm really kind of just being a complete donkey here and calling 3-bets way too wide. And I don't think that you're going to be exploitable until you get to around like 65%, 70%. And the main thing to take from this is that if a player that you're at the table with actually does try to exploit you, I don't actually mind starting to 4-bet them light. I could tighten up my range a little bit and start to 4-bet them a little bit lighter. Even out of position or in position, doesn't really matter to me. And then just kind of see how they react. But I think that this is me being fishy. 41%. This is laggy. I do feel like I'm kind of a laggy player. Not too bad though. Like 26-20 is not super laggy. 7.2% 3-bet is not really out of the norm either. But it doesn't tell me how many instances I've had, but it's probably at least like 8. Actually, it's 18,000 hands. That's quite a good sample, I would say. And I think that this is a leak. This is an obvious leak that I have. At higher limits, perhaps, like when people were 3-betting super wide, I could probably defend and like try to bluff certain runouts, things like that. But at this point, these players are not going to be exploiting me because it's 10-0. Okay, so and this is a super. I remember this hand too. This is a super awkward spot because I have pocket nines versus like a pretty wide 3-bet percentage. 63% c-bet flop percentage, 50% bet turn percentage, and the guy isn't super fishy. It shows a mouse icon, but I don't really know if the guy's like a mouse. He's probably just more like a tag, passive tag, not really an ABC player, but like a passive tag perhaps, or maybe like a tag that's not so aggressive. So he bets 2 into 275. I got pocket nines with a club, and I remember at the time, like, I really didn't know what to do here. I really had no idea. I didn't know if I should jam and hope that he calls with like a king or ace of clubs, and or just let him barrel off. I don't think that I have any fold equity if he has an overpair. So I decided to call. I do feel like he could be c-betting with air. Maybe one time. He could be doing it like one time. So like 9-10 of hearts or something like that. Jack, queen of spades. King, queen of diamonds. Something like that. I mean, it's possible. If I was in his position and I 3-bet and I get this flop and I'm in position and this guy has like a pretty low fold to 3-bet percentage, I'm gonna barrel this flop with my air as well. So as played, I call, and then the 10 I get a straight draw, plus I have pocket nines, which is not really a bad hand, and I have a club. So I'm thinking like this guy probably isn't going to be barreling his air on this board anymore. So the only way for me to win the pot if he has an overpair is for me to shove and just bluff, because I can actually legitimately represent like a flush or a set or a straight or 2 pair, I suppose. I mean, I don't think an overpair is folding almost ever on this board, but I don't really know if I want to check shove. Check folding seems a little weird as well. Basically, like, I don't really know what to do. This is one of those spots where I think it comes up like one in every 10,000 hands, where it's like no matter what you do, like I have a lot of equity versus most of his range, even over pairs with no club. I have a lot of equity, and I think I do jam. Yeah, I do jam. I really don't even think that my play here is going to really affect anything long term, because it's just one of those hands like within a vacuum. People could argue that I made like a bad play, or that I should have check folded the flop, perhaps. But I do hit the straight, and I do win versus king-king. So if I knew that he had king-king with no club, and I got a straight draw plus a club, and I shoved the turn, if I had king-king, I wouldn't really be very happy calling. I mean, I'd probably still call, but it really depends on which villain is shoving, and I don't think that I have like the most nitty. People don't see me as a nit. And also, if he does have an overpair and I shove, in a spot like this where I have such massive equity versus like a non-club overpair, it's also nice because it lets them know that I'm capable of bluffing, and the image that I have is going to be less nitty and more lag. So I think this is a good spot to kind of just gain a few points of image, and then in the future this player will probably call me down lighter, might make a note about me like I like spaz shoved or bluff shoved like the turn with like a straight draw with the club, because I don't do this very often. So yeah, Okay. So we got like an hour and 12 minutes into this video. 2 hands left. If I remember this hand correctly, it's King King versus Ace Ace. And yeah. Okay. The guy has Ace Ace. Yeah, I know this hand. So the reason that I remember these bigger pots more is because whenever I do my session review, I don't go through every hand. I just kind of look at like the top 4, top 5 all-in pots, and then I go to the ones where like they're not coolers or they are coolers or whatever. But I actually looked at this hand, and I don't think that this is a cooler because this is full ring, and full rings players are like super nitty a lot of the time. This guy, if you look at this, it's a rock. Shows a rock sign. 10, 5 over 150 hands, and 2.1% 3-bet. That's like the most premium hands. That's basically like Queen, Queen, King, King, and Ace, King, and Aces. Versus that range. You know, I really like to play Equilab, but I don't even know if Queen, Queen is in that range. It might just be King, King, Aces, and Ace, King. But if it is Queens, then I'm basically taking up a lot of the Ace, King combos. So it's basically going to be like a couple Ace, King combos remaining. Queen, Queen, or Ace, Ace. And there's no reason for me to get it all in versus this player. A better idea would be like if he does have aces and the board runs out sick, like 6, 7, 8, 9, then I would have a good chance of maybe bluffing him off aces. Basically, to reduce variance, I should just be okay, well, my 3-bet, I don't mind the 3-bet because it's like 10-5. 5% has like other pocket pairs. Maybe like Ace, Queen suited. Ace, Queen off, I guess. I mean, I guess you could even make an argument that I shouldn't have 3-bet this player. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the 3-bet's too bad. But now look, I get 4-bet. I get 4-bet, and this sizing is huge. This is really big sizing. I mean, I guess that he could be doing this with Queen, Queen sometimes, but you have to look at the entire range. And maybe he's trying to get me out of the pot so that he can go up against JC with something like Queens. I don't think he's ever doing it with Jacks because he'd probably be like super scared that I'm 3-betting him. So not really sure. I think that if there was ever a time to fold kings pre-flop, this would be a time to do it, because it's not like over here is 4.8%. Like this guy right here, you can see he's 7-2. Super nits, 0% 3-bet. I think you could find a fold here with kings. I do honestly feel that I could have folded kings here and gone to sleep happy, at peace. So yeah, he had aces. Okay, this hand I remember as well because I read the stats wrong and I was kind of kicking myself for it. So as you see, it's limp, limp, limp. This guy raises to 42 cents. I call. This guy calls. This guy calls. And this guy calls. And boom! This guy shoves. He limp shoves after there's like $2.40 into the pot already. Now, if you look over here, I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. Because I had a lot of tables up and these stats were like, the table was smaller, I confused this player with this player. And I thought it was the 51-12 shoving. If it's the 51-12 shoving, I think that my call would be perfectly fine. Because this 51-12 could be like limp shoving with pretty wide range, like a lot of ace X, like ace jack suited, ace queen suited, pocket sixes, pocket fives perhaps, even pretty hands like king queen suited. And there's already so much money in the pot, and he only had like 752 remaining. I just looked over here, like really quick, I looked over 51-12, I called, but then I realized that it was versus this guy, the 7-2 rock, basically. He had ace king, but like, if he's playing 7-2, that means that he's limping 5% of like the top 8% or top 7%, which is like still big pocket pairs like jacks, tens, queens, and then ace king, basically. And maybe like ace queen suited, but probably not ace queen suited. So as played, I made the wrong play based off a huge mistake of reading the stats. Like if you put them next to each other, that was just me being dumb. I just looked at that wrong. Okay, so that's the end of the second video. That is, we have gone through 37 hands out of a 1600 hand session. 37 hands that were 20 big blinds or more out of 1600 hands. That means that 1500 and something hands were like so insignificant that they were less than 20 big blinds. I think 20 big blinds is a really nice number because you want to really evaluate how you play in small pots as well. Like, it's not really a joke to think about whether or not you feel like you're missing like a few big blinds here and there with your c-bet sizing and like 20, 15, 30 big blind pots, because that stuff adds up a lot. It adds up. But then also it's important to see the big pots where like you're just making terrible plays by misreading information, or like the king here versus a 2% 3-bet, and then you're basically facing like a massive 4-bet here. And I think in the future I would not even want to 3-bet this player, because 5% open range is pretty tight to begin with, and I'd rather just kind of call and see what happens. That might sound super nitty, but I think the math pretty much dictates that king is not going to be the nuts versus this player when this player shows aggression like this. So thank you for watching. If you got through this whole video, thank you so much. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. I think the bigger pots need a little bit more analysis, and so I think in the future I'm probably going to do like maybe 25 or 30 big blinds minimum rather than 20, because that way I'll be able to get, or maybe I'll just break it down in like 3 videos instead. I think that might be a good idea too. So, okay, looks like we're finished. And good luck at the tables. And let me know if this video is helping you at all. You know, it's nice to see that I'm a donkey still, trying to improve, trying to get better at poker. So peace out, everybody.